Hey everybody, and welcome to Stock Abilities. Today I'm going to be covering marijuana stocks to watch into 2020. I'm going to be focusing on ETFs that are dirt cheap right now. So if you want to listen in, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and comment below your own input on cannabis. But we're going to get started here. I'm going to cover a mix of basically why it's a good time to enter and just a rough idea of some ETFs to consider, and just the broad markets inputs, and then I'll go into more details in future videos if you guys like this content. As you can see here, this is the marijuana index. As you can see, in the past 3 years, it went from spiking up to spiking back down, conveniently around when they're slowly pushing towards the federal legalization of cannabis. So I honestly suspect that in the next couple of years, you're going to see a big boom back up, maybe even higher than we've seen. But even if you're just the least bit bullish into cannabis, marijuana, what have you, this is the lowest it's been in many, many years, and it took a very big dump back in April to here, and we're going to see how that progresses. Even in the Canadian markets and everything else, it's just been going down and down and down. So whether you're in the U.S., Canada, or another country, it's a good time to invest in cannabis. I'm going to go through just a little bit of a feedback here that recently legislation was passed 24 to 10 with the chance of approval in the full House where Democrats controlled the chamber with 234 seats, and it's likely to face a tougher battle in the Republican controlled Senate, which Majority Leader Mitch McConnell opposes marijuana legalization. And essentially, what this is saying, I kind of jumped around here a little bit, but as you can see there, the House committee approves a bill legalizing marijuana on a national level. So they're very close to federal approval. And of course, as this was passing and, throughout the year, the market was plummeting. There wasn't a whole lot of buzz about it. It seems like they're trying to push it down purposely to get in as cheap as they possibly can into the whole entire market as itself. I'd personally recommend as much diversification as you can get. You're not going to guess the next Tesla. You're not going to guess the next big booming stock like Tilray a little while back. You're best to just diversify, and then as you see growth in given companies, maybe invest a little bit more as you do more research into those particular tickers. And essentially, it's a lot dependent on how the election goes this year in 2020, and depending on how you feel that Trump is going to be reelected, not reelected, what have you. It's going to be a big point for the elections into this year, so they might just push it federally into 2021 just for the purpose of the campaigning and things like that. Kind of a campaign promise that's not too hard to push through federal levels at this point, as far as it's gotten. There's only, Republicans aren't exactly happy about it. A lot of it's kind of a silly restriction, but I guess we would see what might happen. Obviously, they're saying maybe Democratic people might push it off. Trump, in my opinion, already won, but that's just my opinion on that. But as you can see here, it's very likely that it's going to be pushed in the next couple of years. So getting in now, even if you're a little bit iffy about what you think might happen, eh, I would say it's worth the risk for as little cost as it is. I'm going to cover some various ETFs here from some different sources. Here's Aleafia Health. It's a Canadian company. It cultivation and research divisions and medical clinics. Obviously, you want to be focusing right now, since it's not quite fully legalized federally yet, at least in the United States, that you can focus on these ETFs that are focusing more on the healthcare aspects, that are already kind of pushing through where you can get prescriptions for the cannabis and things like that. Obviously, healthcare has always been a big push and big profit margins for companies. So if you're thinking in that realm of thought, these potential companies that you'd want to be looking into. I honestly feel the best thing to do now until there's more clear direction is to follow the different ETFs and invest. Obviously, some of them you may not be able to, depending on whether you're the U.S. United Kingdom, Canada. Obviously, brokers can differ from country to country. So I'm going to cover these, but they're not necessarily going to be available for you to be able to utilize. And this is 1933 Industries. It is a company will be moving into 10 size the previous facility, which should ramp up revenue. Company in the process of entering the California market, which is expected to be a major value driver for the operation. They are a multifaceted growth company and selling CBD products in 46 states, so they're pretty expansive. This is just a general company particular that you can consider. You got One World Pharma, and this is One World Pharma, a Las Vegas-based licensed cannabis and hemp producer, which cultivates and grows them in Papillon, Colombia. Is an opportunity that investors should keep an eye out for. As Berger says, the company recently received a quote for 2020 production of THC, compounded marijuana, and essentially they got a lot of connections, strong growth, and 2020 potential. Not going to go too much into detail about that. Just going to kind of go down the list for you guys, save you guys some time. And this particular ETF, fairly well known alternative harvest ETF, the MJ fund holds stocks from more than 30 marijuana companies and rebalances each quarter. So, as you can see here, this is the kind of companies that you'd want to be getting into is the ETFs that kind of focus on a multitude of different companies and they're sort of hedging their risk at the same time. Obviously, if you like a particular company in the ETF, you can invest specifically in that one too. But some of these ETFs also let you invest where otherwise you might not because the ticker might not be available in your particular country. Just some other broader ETFs. MJ I already mentioned. You got YOLO, which is kind of funny. You got MJJ. You got THCX. You got ACT, Cambria, Cannabis ETF, TOKE, MGO, PodX, Global X Cannabis ETF, and Amplify Seymour Cannabis ETF. They all kind of focus in different areas here, but what you want to do is to branch out as much as possible, and then whichever one's kind of performing the best, you might want to more directly invest in those particular companies over the years to come. A lot of these are like straight out medical, or some of them do recreational, but until the US pushes that more, you're going to have a hard time, at least in the United States, investing in the more recreational purposes ones. So you can see here, one of my personal favorites is HMLSF. As you can see here, it's been a little bit roughed up in the last couple of years, but it does kind of model the cannabis market almost perfectly as to what's been going on. Started out 638, and then it went up and up and up and up, all the way up to almost tripling its valuation in just a year, and then it kind of simmered back down. I feel that this is kind of bottoming out at this point, so you might be able to get a good entry on this. This one focuses on kind of like a medical and organic, just in general. So, and of course, if you want to consider some other ones, Marijuana Index has a variety of different sectors. You got ag tech, biotechnology, consumption devices, cultivation and retail, and products, investing and finance, marijuana products in general, real estate, other ancillary, and secondary services and tech and media. As you can see, these are just some different sectors that you can be considering. The ones that are going up a lot aren't exactly all that high cost. But if you want to take really low risk, you can buy some of these for pretty much nothing. Some of them are trading at just pennies a share. So even if you put in $100 in a variety of these, if even one of them takes off, you have a higher potential profit margin. Maybe you never know with these companies. Obviously, you want to do some research into them, or you could just kind of diversify into all of them, buy a little bit of every one of them, and all you need is one to take off. Some of them have decent market caps, some of them have no volume or next to no volume. So you'd want to be picking something that's a little bit more volume friendly. As you can see, Though in general for cannabis, the volume isn't that high. Some of these aren't even trading that high, even for the more major tickers. So you can see with the $8 price, you got $3. So almost everything in this sector is still relatively cheap. They haven't been doing so hot lately, but that's it's a growth company. You're investing long term. You don't really invest short term with cannabis unless you're trying to get in something like Tilray for the hype aspect or Beyond Meat. But that's about all I was going to cover in this video. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to let me know. I'm trying to cover at least the best of my ability, all the different ETFs that I'm familiar with. Just my own input on that, and personally, I'd most recommend anything that's healthcare related at this point, but you can kind of slowly diversify into anything that you're able to actually purchase that's more for recreational use. But another one to consider is those that use the materials, the hemp aspect for it for actual clothing, actual other physical products that are more easily accessible, that aren't as restricted through government, through federal or the state, just as something to consider for into the future. I'm going to be covering probably another video on this, on more specific ETFs, but I'm not sure when I'm going to get to that, so make sure to subscribe to the channel, and if you like this video, check out some of the other videos in the bottom left, bottom right, and have a nice day.